Day 27 in a third world prison. So it's Saturday. I'm on lockdown. That means there's no outdoor time and I'm not allowed a phone call. But the day before, on Friday, I spoke to a cousin of mine. First thing he said when I got him on the phone, we need to get you out of here. We need to get you a lawyer. I found one. I was referred one. The first thing he asked is, what do you want? What are you looking for in your court case? He confirmed with me, my cousin, that I'm not facing any charges for abducting my daughter. But the same family court judge is on my family court case still, my parentage case or custody case. And the same, California still has my case, like nothing's changed, but there is no criminal case. He just kept emphasizing that. And this at this point is like the third person to tell me this. I'm frustrated because at the end of the day, my family court case is corrupt. And I'm frustrated that no one's listening to me and gets it. I expressed to my cousin, I need a higher court to get involved. I am not safe. My daughter is not safe with this current family court judge in this current family court county. My cousin confirmed that he was going to get someone there. Apparently, there's a distant family member in Belize that is going to come to the prison and drop off money for commissary. So later that day on Friday, approximately 2:30, 3 o'clock, a visitor came. And so I immediately assumed this is my long-distance cousin. So I let the prison guards know. I was, when I walked into the room and met the woman. So how does this work out? So in the women's side of the prison, we're completely isolated from the men's side. We're divided by a parking lot. So when you drive into the prison, Central Belize Prison, to your right is the women's prison and to the left is the men's. And the men's is huge and they have all these amazing amenities. And then to the right, it's just depressing. So we have this like tiny little building, this tiny little courtyard. And we also, like if visitors come to see us, that's where they go. They go visit us over there. And so when you get in, you check in the main building, and then someone guides them over to the women's side. And then when they are buzzed in, they walk into this room that's literally adjacent to the women's prison. Like it's not a separate building. It's just like an extension of the women's prison. You walk through the front door, you immediately hang a left. You sit down, there's this huge, thick plexiglass in front of you. And then on the other side of the plexiglass is basically a cement bench. And when you look behind that, it's a wall that leads directly into where the women prisoners stay. And so we'll just be guided straight from our cell, just down the hallway into this room where our guest is sitting and waiting for us. So we never really go anywhere. And the only thing that we change into, if I remember correctly, we can wear our regular clothes. They just have to follow a certain dress code, not revealing modest clothing. So I walk into the visitor area, and on the other side of this plexiglass is a woman. And I'm immediately excited because I'm like, oh, okay, she's supposed to be a family member. She greets me. I noticed that she has an American English accent. In Belize, they speak either Spanish or Creole English. And if you speak English, people speak English, but the common dialect amongst the community is Creole English, which I don't understand anything that they're saying. I immediately felt panicked when I started to talk to her because I quickly realized that I could barely hear. The plexiglass was so thick, and the little holes that they drilled through the plexiglass didn't do a very good job at passing sound. And there was no, like, you see in the movies, you pick up the phone. There was none of that. You had to like scream through the plexiglass to kind of hear each other. So I just leaned in and talked through one of the holes. I was like, "Are you my cousin?" And she replied, "No." I could barely hear her. I had to like stick my ear up to the plexiglass so I could hear her talking through the hole, the little holes, because there was literally little holes through this thick plexiglass. It was crazy. But she tried to explain to me that she saw my story on the Belize News, and she has contacts at the Belize prison. Like, she's done work with prisoners in the past, like volunteer work. And so she was allowed to come to visit me. And she just basically wanted to drop off money for me so that I could get fresh drinking water. Thank you. And, any other things that I may need. She basically understood, like, what are the conditions, and immediately was like, "I got you money. You can buy some fresh water." Like, it was like, I guess, like a given. Like, I guess it's known in Belize that the water in prison is pretty toxic. On Saturday, I was reflecting on our interaction, and I kind of panicked on Saturday because I was just thinking of, my state of mind on Friday when she came in, and I was expecting her to be my cousin and she wasn't. But I just felt desperate for help and desperate for someone to hear my story, desperate to expose the family court corruption going on in the U.S., desperate to get legal help and get it out there, my story, because I was just basically being kept in a dark room, literally and figuratively, in the U.S., and nobody was paying attention or listening to like the ridiculous stuff that was happening. And I was just really concerned about my daughter and just want my baby back. So, in hindsight, I kind of wish I had asked a few more questions to her to make sure I knew who she was and make sure I understood that she was an ally. But in my head, I was just thinking, I need help. And I think God brought her to me, so I'm just going to talk to her. So I literally just spent our 30 minutes sharing my story. I went all the way back to 2020 when the abuse started, and how, I found myself here in front of her that day. I tried to be as concise as possible, and I explained in 2 to 3 points, highlighting the seriousness of my situation, the atrocious post-separation abuse that my daughter and I were living through. And I emphasized to her, this is a domestic violence case that's been going on since 2020, and I have been not getting any relief or any help. And I explained to her, after I left in 2023, that's when I've just basically been living in post-separation abuse. So I lived through domestic violence for 3 years, got out, and then to my horror, I've been experiencing post-separation abuse for the last 2 years, 2023 to present day, May 2025. I clarified that I'm looking for help and I want advocacy, and I need people to take my case seriously and really look at what's going on in my case. Our 30-minute meeting unfortunately ended abruptly as she started sharing her story, and it turned out she herself was a domestic violence survivor as well. But I quickly got her information. Actually, literally begged the prison guard for a pen and wrote it on my arm because our time was up. And she promised to come back next week to see me when she got back in town. That night, on Friday night, I just remember laying in bed and praying and hoping that I made the best decision, and that she truly was and is an ally. And, I was a little afraid to even have hope that this was going to work out. And I just this deep feeling of sorrow, this deep feeling of emptiness, that there's a piece of me missing, my daughter, and just this feeling of devastation just lived with me through the night. But despite all that, I knew that God is with us, my daughter and I. God is protecting us through this process.